Hi, student. My name is William. Today's video is called I want to let you know something. Okay. So now here we are. Okay, on this one. So today I'm going to be talking about another. Today I'm going to talk about a dwarf planet and probably two planets. Well, another terrestrial planet and another gas giant. They're pretty far in our solar system. Well, the terrestrial planet is really Planet 10. It's a Mars, and I heard from Anton Pendrov. I know this guy believes in evolution, but I heard from him that it's a Mars-like planet. I really don't know how long it takes for that 10th planet to orbit around the sun, but you can put in the comments below that he said that Planet 10 is a Mars-like planet. It's a little bit closer to our sun than it's closer to our sun than Planet 9. So I don't know how long it will take for that to orbit around the sun. I guess it's the ninth closest planet to the sun. That Mars-like planet. And it's, I don't know. I'm guessing it would take about 5,000 years to orbit around the sun. That's my guess. Because I don't know. Because, and now there's a dwarf planet out there called Sedna, and another gas giant that's pretty far in our solar system. People are calling it Planet 9, but also some people are calling it Nibiru. You know? And this is I think the 10th closest planet to the sun. Yeah, the 10th closest, because Planet 10 is the 9th closest. But I don't know why some people will call it Planet X. Well, that's not true, first of all. Because I studied Roman numerals, first of all, okay? Okay? Planet 9 would be Planet IX. Planet 10 would be Planet X. Okay? 9 is IX, 10 is X, 11 is XI, and then 12 is X double I, and then 13 is X triple I. Yeah, come on, guys. I know my Roman numerals. Come on. You're wrong on the Roman numerals. Get this right, okay? 9 is IX, and then 10 would be X. So I guess this is Mars-like planet is the 9th closest planet to the sun, and then I guess this gas giant is the 10th closest. But yeah, Sedna is a dwarf planet. So Sedna takes about 11,400 years to orbit around the sun. But it might take a little bit longer, maybe 12,000 years to orbit the sun. But according to Google, it's 11,400. So, well, it means according to the Bible, Sedna and I guess Nibiru, I guess according to the Bible, they haven't orbited the sun yet. Well, according to the Bible, the sun hasn't orbited the Milky Way galaxy yet either. It takes about 250 million years for the sun to orbit around the Milky Way galaxy. How do I know that? Because the Bible teaches the universe is about 7,000 years old. Yeah, that's what it is. Now, I know people are going to use these, and also use the sun to open the world around the Milky Way galaxy. They're going to use this to prove that the universe is billions of years old, but no, it doesn't prove that. Okay, it just proves that it takes a long. It means it takes a long time to orbit. Okay, and it just proves that it proves that these two things takes a long time to orbit around the sun, and it takes a long time for the sun to orbit around the Milky Way galaxy. It does not prove how old the universe is. Okay, the Bible teaches that the universe is about 7,000 years old. Okay, and the Earth is about 3 days older than the universe, according to the Bible, because the Earth was made on day 1 and the universe was created on day 4 of the creation week. So yeah, so I guess God created Sedna and Nibiru probably on day 4 of his creation week. Now, let's learn about these. Okay, today we're going to talk about what they're called in other languages. Today I'll start with, I guess, Nibiru, and then I'll do Sedna. But just on the side note, some of them I have found on Google Translate, some of them I found on the Chinese version, which is Baidu Translate. So if I can't find it on Google Translate, I'll Google on Baidu Translate and show it to you how it's called. Okay, you know, the Chinese version of Google Translate. I'll start with Nibiru, and then I'll do Sedna. Nibiru. Yeah, it's Nibiru in Spanish.
Nibiru.
And still Nibiru in French. Well, here it is. Because when you get to Mandarin, you probably can't find it. Yeah. Okay. Here it is in Mandarin.
Nibiru.
Nibiru is also Nibiru in Mandarin. Okay. Now let's do Arabic this time.
Nibiru.
Nibiru? Yeah, it's still called Nibiru in Arabic, so that's still kind of similar in English. Here it is in Japanese.
Nibiru.
Nibiru. Yep. That would be something that's similar to Spanish and French. So the Nibiru is Nibiru in Japanese. Now Korean. Nibiru. Okay, well that's pretty similar to Mandarin. So that's Nibiru in Korean. Okay. Okay, so that's Nibiru in different languages. I found all of them in Google Translate. Now let's go find Sedna. Now let's do Sedna next. Okay, so here's Sedna in Spanish.
Sedna.
I also found this. Let me see if I can go to creationwiki. Let me see if I can go to creationwiki, guys. I'm gonna try to find out something. Okay. I'll get to that soon.
Sedna.
So Sedna is still called Sedna in Spanish.
Sedna.
And it's still called Sedna in French. Okay. Sedna is how to say Sedna in Mandarin. Sayyiduna is how to say Sedna in Arabic. Sedona is how to say Sedna in Japanese. Seduna is how to say Sedna in Korean. So no, I didn't have to go to Baidu Translate on some of them for Nibiru or Sedna. Well, that's okay. That's pretty good. I found both the Nibiru and Sedna in other languages on Google Translate. Well, that's fine. Now, so that's all of it. Now, that's all you. Now, today, let's read this part now. So the 10th planet is discovered. I think this is talking about the dwarf planet called Eris. But that's me to find out first, okay? Astronomers have discovered a new member of the solar system. NASA calling it the 10th planet. So we discovered a new member of the solar system. The object is slightly larger than Pluto, but most of the objects of our solar system that you get so far. NASA is calling this object the 10th planet. Okay, the music discovers by planets orbiting other stars. This scientist found a new planet or solar system. The object is assigned 1000 UB 313 until its design a permanent name. Discovered by astronomers Michael E. Brown, Chad Trujillo, or is it in Spanish Trujillo? I don't know. And David Rabinowitz. It lies an incredible distance of 9 billion miles 14 billion kilometers from the sun, nearly 100 times farther away than Earth, and it's more than twice as distant as Pluto. It's estimated to be about 1,600 miles, or 26 kilometers in diameter. So years ago, astronomers began to discover a number of larger icy masses just beyond the orbit of Neptune. These are called trans-Neutron objects, TNOs, or Kepler objects. There's so much more TNOs have been smaller than Pluto has been diameter of 1,400 miles, 2,100 kilometers, like asteroids. TNOs, that's considered by 200 classified to be a planet, but 2,000 maybe is larger than Pluto. This argues should be classified as a planet, but since Pluto, however, such argue that even Pluto should be classified as a planet rather than a KBLC TNO. The certificate of 2003 UB313 is more likely this is to be. In any case, textbooks would be rewritten. This new planet TNO has been over submitted as a Pluto analysis competition of 2000 UB313 shows the presence of methane ice, and Pluto's competition of shows methane ice. Planets do not TNOs do not like Pluto. Just reducing has the shake-up over is very elliptical. 2003 B13 as soon as it knows the planet a billion of its elliptical orbit, and the closer approach to the sun perihelion and reaches a distance of 3.3 billion miles, 5.4 billion kilometers. This is greater than Neptune's distance, but less than Pluto's average distance of the sun. This means that 2000 B13 sometimes is closer to the sun than Pluto, just as Pluto is sometimes closer than Neptune. B13 takes 557 years to orbit around the sun, and that's a longer period on the planet. But Pluto had a record of 248.5 years. 248.5 years to orbit, while you have UB313 as a highly inclined of this tidal 400 degrees relative to the other planets, which orbit nearly the same plane as the Earth ecliptic. Pluto had the previous planetary record of the inclination 17 degrees. And its orbital properties had been uprising its regular astronomers. The solar system collapsed in gas and dust. In fact, the aviation of planets aligned to go to a plane of the 10th planet has been discovered previously. There's no one looking there. TNOs has been different. I was expecting. There are far more, and then the nuclei and lie in the Kuiper belt. Of course, 2003 UB313, segue for TNO size, almost as large as the moon. Moreover, surprisingly, TNOs are binary. They consist of 2 components of orbits on the sun, but such as amazing worlds at distance, 2000 UB13, consists of the creative power of God, the Lord, made all these things as pleasure. In fact, it wouldn't be a surprising biblical creation as such objects unusual orbits we discover elsewhere our source of discoveries, such as we continue support biblical creation challenge, it's like a scenario's origins. So I think this. So what I think this is talking about the dwarf planet called Eris, because the planet called the dwarf planet called Eris is about 558 years to orbit around the sun. Yeah, this one has 507, but that's pretty close. So I think it's talking about the dwarf planet called Eris, not the Mars-like planet Anton Pendrov discovered. Not the 10th like planet Pendrov was talking about in the video, in his video. But yeah. So yeah. Oh yeah, this was made in 2005. No matter why, but that's okay. And here's Sedna. So Sedna, or 90,377, Sedna is a trans-Saturnian object discovered in 2003, which lies but beyond the sun of Neptune. Minnesota is considered a dwarf planet. Yeah, it's a short article. So right here, let's read about this now. I've mentioned Genesis. So, astronomers found a new 9th planet in our solar system. So Pluto again. Many people disappointed a decade ago that International Astronomical Union did more of Pluto as a planet by defining, before the first time, what a planet is. These were two reasons that Pluto removed from the group of the objects that we call planets. One reason that Pluto does not seem to fit with other planets based upon common properties. Usually that into two categories. There's the Earth-like and Jovian, Jupiter-like planets. The first four planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, are terrestrial planets, while the next four, Saturn, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, are the Jovian planets. Pluto's properties make it difficult to put it into either group. The other reason that Pluto was reclassified for planetary status is very well compared to other planets. This was brought forward in 2003. With the discovery of Eris, other bodies similar size as Pluto, but if Pluto is a planet, should Eris be a planet too? Eris is the largest of many small bodies discovered since 1992, suddenly beyond the orbit of Neptune, and it most likely found those are shown the larger ones of these to be planets too. The discovery of some other small objects, the orbit of Neptune, has been motivated in search of the Kuiper belt. This is a good collection of bodies, short periodic comets of similar comet from many astronomers. All these dozens of our solar system and the Kuiper belt objects, KBOs, and some prefer as I do, and some trans-Neptunian objects, TNOs. Astronomers now may think that Pluto is the first TNO discovered, but it's more 70 years before discovery of the second one. By now, many Pluto fans have been encouraged by the January 20, 2016 announcement, and two astronomers think they found evidence that there's a ninth planet after all, a replacement for Pluto. Now, before we can read more, so you're thinking this. So people that still believe there are like about 10 planets out there, but they're no longer Pluto and Eris. So yeah, planet 10. I'll be right back, guys. Let me get my shirt, okay? I'll get my shirt from home. Or go let you play computer?
No. Go sit with Daddy, that's all. Go on, go sit with Daddy. Sit with Daddy.
Okay, guys, I'm back. I was just getting my clothes for later, okay? So, there's one guy I heard from Discord. He says that Pluto is a planet no matter what people say. Well, you can say the same thing about Eris too. You know? But I'm fine with Pluto and Eris being called dwarf planets. You know? And, people want to be called this gas giant planet 9 and this Mars-like planet 10. You know what? That's fine. I'm fine with that. I call planet 9 Nibiru. That's fine. I'm fine with that anyway. I have nothing else. I have nothing better to say about this. So let's read more about this, okay? The discovery of outer planets. To answer the new ninth planet, we have to review the discovery of the planets in our outer solar system. There are 5 planets that appear as bright stars to the naked eye. All 5 are visible in the morning sky, late January and early February 2016. 2 astronomers think that they have evidence that there's a 9th planet, the sort of replacement for Pluto. These planets have been known since ancient times, which is why they are names for the gods of the ancient Roman pantheon. The first modern planet discovery was in 1781, when the German-English astronomer William Herschel, 1788 to 1822, stumbled upon observing the sky with his telescope while the stars report pinpoints of his telescope. Herschel could see its object in a small disk. He thought it was the first seen comet, but he regarded the most object of several nights. Herschel was able to compute an object. He was astonished to learn circular orbit about twice as far from the sun as Saturn is. But this is not a comet, but rather did be a planet. It took years for astronomers to decide to call this new planet, but eventually they followed the custom of naming planets for ancient Roman deities and call it Uranus. For half a century, Uranus presently followed over around the sun, acquired by Newton's law of gravity by the 1840s, where the site is basically between Uranus protected observed positions. What causing this? 2. Mathematics assert the problem independently, including the 8th planet out beyond Uranus' orbit. Come out for this. For a few years, for each orbital period, the 2 planets lined up. Each gravity, the outer planet tugged on Uranus, altering its orbit slightly. Call these little tugs perturbations. Once astronomers with telescopes looked at the predicted position of this new planet, they easily found it, following the tradition of naming other planets after ancient Roman gods. Astronomers soon named this new planet Neptune. As roughly half a century, by the end of the 19th century, some astronomers have saw the site of the discrepancies into the orbits of Uranus and Neptune. This which meant that there thought be a 9th planet fallen out whose would be responsible. However, the situation of this difference is time. The discrepancies were very small. But this meant that the astronomers of this 9th planet, as well to define the salting of this probably caught of the fancy Percival Lowell. In 1855 to 1916, the astronomer who had found his own research of the Observatory of Flagstaff, Arizona in 1994, the Lowell developed techniques of speed the search. He used a special telescope designed to take wide field photographs of the sky. Astronomers took photographs the same part of the few nights apart, and the stars remained fixed, and the orbital body shifted a position on the 2 paragraphs. Examine a pair of photographs for the objects was laborious. Lowell invented a blank comparator to make it easier, but the work was still tedious. Along the way, Lowell and his assistants discovered many asteroids, and the search continued Lowell's death. Finally, in 1930, Klein topped off in 1906 and 1997. As well as history, gonna fade beyond orbiting Neptune's orbit again. Finding accustomed to new planets, they chose the Roman god Pluto. And it was the peculiarities in the orbits of the sum of the TNOs, of the recent suggestion of there's another body large enough to be a planet beyond the orbit of Neptune. Almost immediately, Astronomers realized that there was a problem because it was so faint. Pluto had to be small, but probably far too small to account the gravitational perturbation of other planets. However, Pluto's small mass was not confirmed until 1979, with the discovery of Charon, the largest satellite or moon of Pluto. If Pluto was not account of discrepancies of the orbits of the outer planets, we call the discrepancies was very small. Most of the astronomers now think that the discrepancies merely were errors in measurements of the positions of the outer planets. If so, there were no real discrepancies in gravitation. In other words, the discovery of Pluto was a flunk. And it wasn't until 1980s astronomers realized that they needed a Kuiper belt to explain since extraordinary comets of the solar system were billions of years old. This prompted the revolution of Pluto was just one larger member of the entire asteroid belt beyond Neptune TNOs. In the 1990s, the search of other members started. The ninth planet hypothesis. Okay, so this is okay. So it was particularities orbits of these TNOs have the state orbit of suggestion. There's another body large enough the planet beyond the orbit of Neptune. In 2003, astronomers discovered that the TNO Sedna, its average distance, the Sun is about 524 times your distance from the Sun. Astronomers define this astronomy in AU, but this is average distance between the Earth and the Sun. So Sedna's orbit is 524 AU in size, and it's this distance that takes Sedna 11,400 years to orbit the Sun. Unlike the planets or near circular objects, TNOs on the elliptical orbits, Sedna is only 76 AU when the closest to the Sun, perihelion, and whopping 986 AU farthest to the Sun, aphelion. Furthermore, the orbital planes of TNOs tend to be more inclined and tilted orbital planets of the orbital planes of the planets. For instance, the inclination of Sedna's orbit of the Earth's orbit of nearly 12 degrees, and the inclination of the planet's orbits for less than that. Time of this discovery, Sedna was the most distant known object in the solar system. However, several other objects aside the farther from the Sun are now known. All of them are near perihelia, and eventually will have much farther from the Sun. This is no accident of these TNOs were found near perihelion, because this is when they appear brightest. Though Sedna is not most distant object in the solar system right now, it's beyond the greatest known aphelion distance of any object of needs to be defined orbit. Hence, Sedna's orbit is recognized as the most distant one in the solar system. In 2012, astronomers discovered an object, 2012 VP 113. This orbit is not yet received in size, with a perihelion of 80 AU and aphelion of about 450 AU, and this period is estimated about it's in a proper name. Discovery is call it Biden, for he has Vice President Joe Biden codified periodization of the announcement of discovery delayed until 2014. November of 2012, the Apollo 113, and approximately 260 AU in size, with a perihelion of 80 AU and aphelion about 450 AU, for a period estimated of 4,000 years. Well, right now, Joe Biden is now the president of the United States. He was a vice president when Barack Obama was president. Yeah, but we're not talking. But right now, we're talking about planets here. Right now, we're talking about astronomy right now, not politics. but let's keep reading. From God's word, we understand that the world is only thousands, not millions of years old. Therefore, I consider it unlikely for this hypothetical ninth planet exists. This TNO of VIP 113 gathered attention because of the different of the Sedna's, some respects, orientation of this perihelion, and almost identical of the Sedna's. In fact, the handful of distance of TNOs now have perihelia and about the same general place in our system as Sedna in 2012 VP 113. Though the sample size admittedly small, but only one of orbits or more of rated, but they are not. This really of this clearly of perihelia by coincidence are very low, but this is likely in some reason. In a proper astronomical journal, two astronomers have proposed a ninth planet as a solution. The conditional possibilities of the ninth planet as community of these TNOs initial alignment. To do this, the ninth planet would have at least 10 times the mass of the Earth. Unlike Pluto, this clearly this considered to be enough to be a planet, and it would orbit an average of approximately 700 AU from the Sun. However, this would be identical like any other planet. So the conclusion: does this planet actually exist? Only time will tell. As such, as a great distance from the Sun, it would be extremely faint, and the largest telescope will find it. And alike about this for this previous ninth planet, location is not well defined. As this probably would take many years, it's not likely a valuable time, or this telescope would be dedicated to search. It would be done for another hypothesis, maybe to develop. Well, it would explain the data. Or perhaps this distance of these TNOs have superperhelia. On the other hand, if other discovery that distance of TNOs may have different orbital rotations, thus removing the problem requires explanation. Explanation. One thing that must know: this explanation requires millions of years and perturb TNOs of this rotation. From God's word, we understand that the world is only thousands, not millions of years old. Therefore, it is certainly unlikely this hypothetical ninth planet exists. Publication of this article, hypothetical ninth planet, is probably generated covering of the merits. But for this, those are still afraid of the loss of Pluto as a ninth planet, which will new planet store than they are once know. However, this is likely with time the story will fade. Well, I don't think it hasn't faded just yet. Now let's learn about now we can learn about this one. What is Nibiru? So in this article, I discussed that Nibiru is a rogue planet. Okay, so let's learn about what Nibiru is, okay? So what is Nibiru? From time to time, it acquires about planet X, often called Nibiru. This rogue planet passes in the inner solar system once every few thousand years. People have been claiming that each Nibiru does this. It causes great glimmering of the time of other planets. So this is likely of catastrophes to biblical events, such as the flood It's very tempting that many Christians have dedicated a return visit to Nibiru and the inner system and its town properties, just as Wormwood in Revelation 8:10-11. Well, I believe Wormwood is talking about an asteroid that will hit the Earth. I don't think it's talking about Nibiru. But I'll talk about Wormwood in a different video, and why I believe it's just an asteroid and not this planet called Nibiru. But let's keep reading. Before we start getting too excited about all this, I want to ask a few questions. What is Nibiru? Is it real? And the discovery of it is very about. Isn't Nibiru peaked several times? Most recently in 2012, this probably will be once again indeed. This movement called Nibiru passed closely over this year, 2017. As these now Nibiru is next to 2018. That's ordered, I believe, unpathetical. Okay, Sagara Sitchin. The word Nibiru is an ancient Akkadian language, meaning crossing and fording a river. But its connotation on a tradition point. This is meaning Nibiru comes and it's Babylonian astronomy referred to as an equinox. But it can have other meanings such as reference of Castilian Libra and location of optional equinox and the first millennium BC. Nibiru also refers to locations of the sky conjunction with certain stars or planets. Nibiru is associated with the Babylonian god Marduk, and is identified with the planet Jupiter. Nibiru would have observed the core in the modern world, if not Sakura Sejin, 1920 to 2010. Russian-born American author, 1976 book The 12th Planet, followed by the 6 more values of the Earth Chronicles series. Senshin claimed that thousands of years ago the extraterrestrials from the 9th planet Nibiru has been the subject of civilization. This hypnotized planet Nibiru has been elongated over the period 3,600 years. Nibiru, of the most of the time far, the Sun, beyond orbit of Neptune. But it enters the inner solar system once over the period. Collisions of the Nibiru satellites, just like earlier, the inner solar system as creator of the Earth, Moon, the asteroid and the comets. Such of the other history revealed of the writings, the sumer of the ancient Macedonian civilizations. However, archaeologists have studied ancient various near the misses of the elements of the historian of the instruments of Nistin's work. Okay, so Nancy Leader. This did the development of the rogue planet came in 1985. And see, they are found of this website is dog.com. But this is a receipt of the trio of the Sedna of the research official double star, lower 9 planets away, 39 light years away, consisting of the 2 stars like the Sun. 1995 later announced that Zetas, as she calls extraterrestrials, one of the 2003 a large planet would pass very close to Earth with devastating consequences that would destroy civilization, of course. The date of that incident, leader of the explained as date a while of establishment as she says the planet X, which she calls it, is still coming. Unwilling of really a true date. Its approach. Leader says the government were aware of this true planet of government of this is up. Leader's choice of this little planet was unfortunate, because more than a century ago, astronomers chooses planet X, and its name is responsible for a planet lying over beyond Neptune. This search of the planet X and discovery of Pluto reminds many people. Planet X is equated with Pluto, and years of related confusion. The internet have never called her Planet X Nibiru, and she announced of the 1986 Planet X and the 12th planet have been one and the same, given of the widespread of knowledge of synthesis. The title of the first book is choice of Nibiru has been named of the fabrical planet, nearly of the equated planet X, synthesis Nibiru. However, the center of this is agreed of equation for one means of the distant past of the Nibiru in the solar system in 556 BC, and over the period of 3,600 3,600 years, Nibiru would not have been due until 83,000. However, there's connection between our planet X and just Nibiru. Other people equate the two, therefore. Many people now as terms Nibiru and planet X interchangeably. Now, let me get to this Mayan calendar because I have something about the Mayan calendar. They're talking about in the next one. I got a lot of pictures over here, but I'm looking for yeah, I know, but that's not what I'm looking for. No, yeah, that's talking about the Catholic that's talking about the Catholic view of the scripture. Yeah. But no, I'll get to that later. Yeah, I did found this, but no, yeah, let me show you Google. So I found out about the Mayan calendar long calendar right here. Now I'll show you my images. Because and maybe I'll show you maybe in a list. But I want to show you was going to show you a list of the Mayan calendar thing, but I can't even find it. Yeah, this is not. These are not what I'm looking for. So I was looking for Beyond 472. I don't know why can't I find it. So I have it in here, but I guess I don't. I don't know. I'm trying to find it, guys, but I don't know where it is. Well, okay, guys, we'll have to do something right now. I'll be right back. I'll go find the picture, okay? I'll be right back, guys. Okay, now let's talk about the Mayan calendar. Let me show it to you. about the Mayan calendar for a minute because, well, first of all, this 144,000 days of the 2012, that's the bug ton. Okay? And 2,880,000 days is the pig ton, which is in the year 4772. And 57,600 57,600,000 days is the calib ton, and then 1,152,000,000 days is the it's called Kidchilton, and you got 23 billion 40 million days is one luton. But look how many years though. So yeah, so you can see one day. So you got 394 solar years, that's 2012. But yeah, 785, and that's 4072. But look at the years, see? 157,474 years on the Calipton. And 52,471 years of the Kidchilton, and then one Luton, and 63 here, see, this is 429, this is 1,429, and then there's 81,000. So yeah, it's 63,081,429 years. So yeah, so no, the Mayan calendar is not in 2012. It ends at 63 million years into the future. So no, the Mayan calendar did not end in 2012. It will end at 63 million years into the future. Okay. Okay. Why? Well, because 63 million years is the last is the Luton, and that's the last cycle of the Mayan calendar. Okay. So no. Okay. Look. Okay. 2012 is not the last cycle of the Mayan calendar. Okay? It's not the end of the Mayan calendar. Luton is the Mayan calendar went in 63 million years into the future. So yeah, you got one Luton, and 63 million years into the future. Okay? So and that's the last cycle of the Mayan calendar. Okay? If you don't believe that, look over here. So here it is, the end of the world in 2012. So a few years ago, Nibiru has been associated to predict the end of the world in December 21st, 2012, so they did dig up the Mayan calendar. The kernel of this idea is a cycle of 5,026 years of the Mayan calendar. This Mayans has believed in this created the cycle began. Many scholars this previous cycle began of 11,014 BC. But the state is correct that it's end of so during 2012 in the mid-1970s, some New Agers have noticed this idea. The state scholars of Mayan civilizations have dismissed this notion, arguing that no Mayan writings have taught such a thing. So the Mayans have been accepted as sort of news cycle that much instant. This does not matter. This does not matter to the true believers. As a check of the solstice, December 21st was a winter solstice due to this precision equinox. This lunar equinox is at the plane in the 25,800 year cycle. So since of that plane in 2012, so news and ages of the space of winter of the galactic astronomers of the orbit of the sun winter of the Mayan calendar of the end of the world was elliptic of this. No coincidence of all this. It was too low for Nibiru to mix the suggestions of their alignment of Nibiru's passage into the solar system once more, causing the end of civilization. So none of this happened. Well, because they're wrong about this. Come on. Yeah, they were predicting. But no, this is not the end of the Mayan calendar. You know, like I said, the end of the Mayan calendar is in 63 million years into the future. It is the cycle called Alaton. Alaton. Okay? So are we going to get you in the Mayan calendar? My answer is no. Okay, because we're going to I believe in the 22nd century, which is I believe is probably going to be the tribulation. And I believe in the beginning of the 22nd century, I believe it's going to be a tribulation. And I don't know that for sure. But, you know, because I know, well, it's just, and we're going to have the Mayan calendar here on this new heaven and new earth. I don't know. Maybe. Probably not. But, yeah, we're not in the ending of the Mayan calendar. So, because it's in 63 million years into the future. But now let's keep reading. So some graduates of Nibiru. Later has been noticed over the years that Nibiru has entered the solar system can be glimpsed. But off inside the sun and difficult and not impossible to see any object of the sun has been elongated by very little of the inner solar system. And so if Nibiru has entered the solar system, entered the inner solar system, and the departed region within a year. It never explains that everything keeps to the decision for several years. Nearly says astronomers have bothered to look for the suspicion to predict of Nibiru have found it. The ZetaTalk.com, another website claims that Nibiru has photographed many times. Most of these are fuzzy. Many of the supposed Nibiru images were flares, but other Nibiru objects are sundogs, and there's some than clouds. Other photographers are very impossible that they are, because of talk and taking photographs. No one knows many of these poor images are, so any of this either. Many astronomers have no idea what they're doing, what they are doing. Of course, Mr. and NASA, the governments of sending embassies of photographs of Nibiru. But the powers of the sighting is plummetic. As of photographers of Nibiru are versus astronomers of in 2002, finding years of unexplained eruption. So this discuss go photographs are an echo of this irregular clouds. Nibiru fans have been claiming that this photographs of Nibiru. Conclusion. While it is just a Nibiru has been a since of 2012. It's not going to get into again, but that's very much a basis, I believe, a mythical planet instead. The stream of official planet of astronauts. I'm wishing of philosophy a new age movement. Christians have been avoid these things, therefore of the return of Nibiru in terms of biblical prophecy are doomed to failure. Now let's keep reading about this one, okay? In the article, discuss history of Nibiru. It's supposed to be a rogue. Okay, so this one is what is Nibiru. So this article, it's a rogue planet. This is the on of this this idea. It's like an initiation of beginning 1976. So this planet was on 3,660 year orbit around the sun. Previous orbit passages in Nibiru of the inner solar system because it's the nost recorded of the Near East. 1995, Nancy later of the extraterrestrials called Zetas observed images of this planet very close to the Earth in 2003. There's not any consequences. Thereafter of implied that this planet X, she found it called Nibiru, the same object of course 2003. Now this incident, this failure of prediction that should have any more discussed with this object, well, it failed. Unfortunately, this excitement about the end of the world, but the end of the age of the Christians saw it, and December 20th of 2012 revived this as Nibiru again. But let's go of this converts of the age declared of the Mayan calendar. The alignment of the solstice, the galactic center, they revived. They claimed its roots returned somehow on Earth. Million of another prediction of they would not hear about Nibiru anymore. Unfortunately, this would not be too soon. Alignment of the sun and moon prevents the constellations. Fargo and Leo in September 23, 2017, bring existence of Nibiru, and instead of claiming Nibiru's involvement once again. A further instance of some people claim that there are 3 hours of darkness and classification caused Nibiru against the sun. As I said, Nibiru cuts out hours again on September 23, 2017. It is not clear where people got to this notion. Assuming it didn't come from the scripture, perhaps. Some people dreamed that overcome the suggestion that no one was supposed in 2017 sign. Because the sun would be in the sky was creating most of it. People reasoning that a total solar eclipse will allow this is the path to see a sign. Other people numerous of days in the Nibiru showing up to 2017 and beginning of the catastrophe on Earth. Obviously none of this came to pass either. Yes, it's the field of prediction, so it should have all the sense, but Nibiru finally go away. Yeah, that field of predictions. Shouldn't all this nonsense about Nibiru finally go away? It should, but probably won't, because as that is, the good thing of astrology would be likely to resurrect Nibiru suit other needs. Furthermore, the claims about Nibiru continue morphing in all this sort of all directions, a statement of somewhat literal. Originally, Nibiru was to create an elliptical photo orbit around the sun's gravity. Once each orbit, Nibiru passed close to the sun, opening up, receding of the great distance of the sun once again. As it did this, it takes a few months to pass through the inner solar system, where the Earth is in recent years, and we have supposed sightings of Nibiru. Anymore, people have unknowingly assumed an identified object in the sky must be Nibiru. Thus, flares of photographs must be Nibiru. Many people have the sighting of Nibiru might object in the sky for mere minutes before it appears and disappears. Any object orbiting the sun would not appear and disappear so rapidly. Furthermore, if we're orbiting the sun, moved the inner system in months. Yet these sightings have been going on for years. Apparently, many believers that Nibiru have abandoned thought of the rogue planet orbiting the sun. Instead of they might think that Nibiru is object 3, the constant physics to move about as pleases. Had NASA astronomers seen Nibiru? The previous article about Nibiru, I briefly discussed that to learn more about astronomers have followed up the telescope of these photographs of the V28 sclerosis of this erupted 2002. of significant interest of the astronomers. This object is known as for a long time. Furthermore, the station in the sky, showing no motion. All claims in Nibiru is here in motion, so this doesn't fit at all. Supporters that Nibiru believe confusing Nibiru with the study of early 2016. 16 years astronomers study of opening the sun, and its conclusion of this rotations of the TNOs, transcendent objects, large asteroids beyond the orbit of Neptune. That's a situation of explain attraction of this distant object of distance of this planet. Astronomers have looked at the planet and when it's detected yet, even if it exists, this planet could not be Nibiru because it's close to approach to the sun. We've been far away beyond of the orbit of Neptune. Others claim that NASA astronomers have seen Nibiru, but the sightings have been covered up. But in the most example, this is found in Google Sky, and it's been found on a varied view of this navigate of the precision 13 hours, 3 minutes of right position, -9 degrees inclination of the particular path of the old red and green object of night sky of the right side of the path. Venus and Wednesday have nothing at this location. Many people have claimed this object as seen here in Nibiru. The dark path is a discovery. The screen for the revolvement of relation to 12 verses 1 2. And so 23 is 2017. The location of the straight object below the womb of Virgo was interrupted of the revelation to the 12 unit 4. A great red dragon waiting of this devour childbirth of the by a woman in the sign Revelation chapter 12 verses 1 to 2. The claims mystery of the objects Nibiru is debunked officially at this website. I will repeat the 70 points of refutation. And first, if NASA wishes to secure this object is such a pure vision. With the dark rectangular patch of this virtually claims as secretary, it will be relatively smooth of the spot, this color shading as writing regions rather than leaving a black rectangle. Even worse, this patch doesn't do a very good job reminding the object because it's so much of its if it's visible. That is, NASA scientists additionally were component enough to realize they needed to hide this object. Simultaneously, were too committed to do that task very well. That doesn't make sense. This is a far less nefarious explanation. The infrared view of the Google sky is based upon IRIS, infrared astronomical satellite results. IRIS as the first satellite, the map most in the sky, and the infrared during its 10-month mission in 1983. The coolant required to make the camera work properly lasted only 10 months. There are 2 large elongated listed of shaped dark patches, whereas IRIS was not able to obtain data. The location mystery object identical position of Saturn during the IRIS mission, center of the Jovian planets, have an infrared the magnitude of the lost data of the explosion there. Okay, so what has seen image of those data wasn't ever exposed and maintained. Saturn's position has been changed the 10 months of the data collection. Which is why some images are close together. This false color images showed the objects now red and green. The false color images have standard of obtained the colors of the parts of the spectrum we cannot see it for in this case. Most people have believed in an image of Nibiru that have been taken recently. You know this idea that was taken nearly 35 years ago. This cannot be Nibiru. Rather, it clearly is Saturn. Before moving this clarity of coming to identification of Nibiru, someone had asked another object in Google Sky at 5 hours, 35 minutes, and it doesn't. Negative 5.5 degrees declination. But it's visual review that are overexposed by the black path center on it. A visual image is superimposed. The Orion Nebula, located of the coordinates above, is superimposed as a visual photograph of the Orion Nebula. They guess that, at least at the infrared image, Orion Nebula is greatly overexposed from the radiation of the reading data there. I suppose Orion Nebula is best of the identify what is of this position. Other claim that still another NASA's of Nibiru, they find IC 5085. Recognize of this literature here. IC stands for the Index Catalog Nebula Clusters of Stars, published of John Dryard and Distance of 1895 and 1908. Of the Dryard's 1888 new catalog of nebula of the clusters of stars in GC, and a revision of Herschel's general catalog of nebula clusters of stars in decades of IC 5385. The one that is stated illustrious of IC, as often of the stronger objects I'm not familiar with, not shorter in Simbad, the indications of measurements and bibliography of stronger data. However, Simbad returned this message and are not found in the database. Currently, IC 5085 does not exist, but both of the NGC and IC has been some errors and some duplicates of incorrectly of the report positions of non-good objects. The entry was a description of verified, but the epic means were a variant of this not of the verified. Means that such object is observed only once. What is IC385 does not exist, only no one knows. What was a defect of particular plate, but making a faint stars and nebula. How did this identify it with Nibiru? Since it's such one of the bright stars, Nibiru below the vernal equinox, doesn't seem like other views of part of the sky. This would include that of some new hints. Most likely was Nibiru, and since the object was IC 5085, special searching of points of the AC, thought this must be an object we're seeing. This thought that 395 was discovered. More than a century earlier, it doesn't really matter. This object was discovered wise. This been discovered earlier. This infrared of this satellite was over 2010, like I was decades earlier. It was infrared, much better of the appropriate of the because it was ruins technology. This wise included March 1st, months of 2010 was depleted. This was object was in Nibiru. As he does find what is it? This mystery object in Nibiru is listed at IC 2005. What is it? This Jovian planets as infrared. It's in Saturn. So next in Nibiru is infrared, but this object was a Jovian planet as well. To test this, I sent decisions of 4 Nibiru planets in 2010 to sign with Uranus. However, you need to look at other planets because I found Uranus' position in 2010 was a perfect match with subject, hence another Jovian planet, not Nibiru. So conclusion. People that's coming sightings of Nibiru, but suddenly a fuzzy took NASA images and took a hey look, it's Nibiru, and no, it's over here, no, it's over there. Instead of warning of Jesus that people have seen it Christ in many places. Matthew 24:24, Mark 13 verse 21, and Luke 17 verse 23. All this meaning of claims of Nibiru cannot be true. This covenant of not true, as this of Nibiru had looked expedition of events, had money put in believe a fulfillment of compulsory eyes. Many Christians have said 3 years of Joel 2:31 and Revelation 6:12 were fulfilled of the regulations of Revelation chapter 12 verses 1 to 2 and fulfilled of the by alignment of the sun, moon, and stars, and 4 planets, of course. But most of these Christians were expecting the Lord's return, but these transpired. But now he didn't return, as then you have interrupted fulfillments of the larger messianic of the one day of the Lord's return. These people mean well, but they may fail to realize that the immediate cycle of the extinction of which returns certain of the day of this would be disappointed. A following interpretation that brings this beauty of the Lord's cause. Far too many Christians have been consumed with the figure of all the details of end times prophecies. There are many of schools that concerning the Bible prophecy and eschatology. They can't be right, but they can all be wrong. From Daniel's prophecy in 70 weeks, Daniel chapter 9 verse 24 to 27. Many people have said of the first advent. However, no one understood of how the advent of would play at not one. According to the 21st century of the details of second event. People have been excited about prophecy, the side of the important question. This question, are you ready? Matthew 24 verse 44. This is not any expectation of a good event, such as the abyss could be ready. However, rather, the children of being ready to God, patiently waiting of his turn, raise his calling. So ask again, are you ready? Now, Nibiru and Planet X. Yep, another one. Nibiru is a rogue planet moving in our solar system, swinging heaven on Earth. In line with biblical prophecy, I have discussed Nibiru previous in the first article, origin of the name Nibiru, and it came of the various doomsday scenarios of biblical prophecy. Of course, the photographs of Nibiru. I explained one of the Hubble Space Telescope images as well as the name captured in Nibiru. In the second article of this needs of Nibiru, NASA's astronomers, as somebody supposed of the Nibiru 16 have called Planet X. These articles of astronomers' comments on Planet X, some comments about Nibiru, and this article is claims about Planet X. The original Planet X. There's an understand of the cycle of the Planet X, rather of the cycle of several times. So the origin of the supports in Nibiru of the astronomers of Planet X is the supposed alignments of Nibiru, even using Planet X of the older name for Nibiru. The term Planet X was coined by the French astronomer Gabriel Delit in 1892. Okay. Okay, guys, now let's keep reading. Okay, so 1992, the X was known as X, and according to questions in 1781, Herschel discovered the planet Uranus, the seventh planet orbiting the Sun. He accidentally stumbled upon it while looking with his telescope. While some motion of astronomers have orbit around the Sun. However, within a few years, discrepancies discovered between the planets of Uranus. By the early 1840s, astronomers began observing discrepancies explaining gravity of 8 planets orbiting around the Sun beyond the orbit of Uranus. The special meditation of John Couch Adams, the French meditation of Urban de Earth, computation of the planet, working from the various prediction. German astronomer Johann Gottfried discovered the planet Neptune in 1846. However, for the 2 decades of the doomsdays of Uranus orbit, so the certainty of the ninth unknown planet might exist. Delit's choice of Planet X for a native name, which was Neptune, identified by Planet X astronomers. When to Planet X's position of several times the most of this Lowell of the Flagstaff, Arizona, where the surges continued for several quotes. Such finally in early 1930, on top of this tiny spot was photographs of taking this guy apart. Computation of this orbit revealed this orbit of the Sun much beyond the orbit of Neptune. However, there's many the astronomers realize as well. Pluto, the name chosen of this new ninth planet, really were very faint, suggesting it was tiny and was small, as well unlikely that Pluto was plenty of mass to produce conjectural tugs on Uranus, in addition to account of the instances of this orbit. Indeed, it was confirmed in 1978 that American astronomer John discovered Charon and natural satellite moon orbiting Pluto. Its on a motion of the permit of Pluto's mass, which shown about to be 0.2% of the Earth. It is just going to have small of this primarily reason of the International Astronomical Union in 2006, and Pluto was no longer a planet, but one account of the frequencies of the Uranus orbit. What would account the discrepancies of Uranus' orbit? What is the much disagreement of the matter? The discrepancies were very small. The order of the errors of observation, suggesting the discrepancies may not be real, but just noise in the data. At least one astronomer proposed of the discrepancies were due on the galactic tides. Still, astronomers were kept with the idea that there may be yet another planet, yet more than one planet. Beyond the order of magnitude, one notable explanation of American astronomer Robert Newton Harrington was the accuracy of the calculation of Charon's mass. Harrington pursued of this thesis, becoming possible position of this new planet X, and again there were one searches of no results. New planet X's. The search appeared previously in 1983. The year of the infrared circle satellite, ARAS, monitored in the sky during this 10-month position. This first time was done in the many string of objects, including the report of the possible planet from the Sun. Harrington suggested an alliance after surveys omission of its appeared resource. Many people are promoting Nibiru and just a repeat of the previous paraphrase of the 1983 news report. So it's close to the Earth too. Of course, it turned out a massive planet too close to the Earth to believe that Nibiru was moving about the inner solar system. Many people of this news of Nibiru's existence of reports reporting in 1983. This was a possibility it couldn't return, nor do of this little piece as into context of its possible object might be. Many of distant planet in our solar system makes me an idea, article said. Especially in the mystery body, it was just cold, no light. That's been it just goes Earth and space, but it's a gas. But it was a giant gaseous planet, larger than Jupiter, and close to the Earth, about 50 billion miles. While there's been single existence around terms, the throw astrological terms, is so close that in fact, of the nearest heavenly body to Earth, beyond the outermost planet Pluto, if we were to leave that close, it would have been a part of our solar system. Dr. James Hawke and Cardinal University Center of Radiophysics of this research, member IRA's IRA's science team, and it was close. I don't know how this world planetary scientists would even begin to classify it. Note that I italicized the small quote of the bond underline of million of the minimum distance of this possible planet could have been to Earth for the time. Distance of more than 50 miles, Earth's distance from the Sun, based far beyond the orbit of Neptune. Most distance of the planet of the closest planet beyond distance of Earth fainter. It doesn't totally spin, doesn't it? But mostly the measures of Moon, correctly identified as Neotronic was, showing that it was not a planet after all. And all this studies the promoters of Nibiru suggested Harrington was suggested about science by NASA and various agents. This because of Harrington's prediction were based on 1989 flight by Neptune by Voyager 2 to the Earth measured of Neptune's mass. Look, when the correct mass of Neptune was included, a discrepancy of Uranus orbit was accounted for 4. Okay, Nemesis. Within the evolutionary paradigm in 1980, researchers proposed a mass extinction of the end of the Cretaceous period 65 million years ago, in the event that wiped out the dinosaurs that caused a tornado of impact. 3 years later, 2 paleontologists have created over 250 million years of the 12th mass extinction event of this time between the events of 26 million years. Though they didn't identify for the mechanism for mass extinctions, astronomers had a single cause most likely. Within months of the 2 papers of the same issue of Nature arguing a faint star, of the particular star of Oort's cloud of this particular sort of the Olympic comets, causing the rain comets to enter the inner solar system each time, bringing into problems to the effects on the Earth. Could lead to mass extinctions. This particular star soon acquired the nickname Dead Star, or the more popularly Nemesis, the spirit divine of registration in Greek mythology, and for those consumed by Humberus. The dim star of orbiting at the great distance would have very little popular motion, thus eluding detection. What is the nature of Nemesis? It is not clear. One suggested a minimal mass star, a red dwarf, and women of the other team, it was a brown dwarf, a failed star, or no, two must be a star, much more than typical. For Nemesis would appear as a faint star. Even if it exists, astronomers normally have already photographed Nemesis. However, astronomers have failed to understand its true nature because of around the somewhat faint of proper motion. Proper motion of this driven of a position, motion of stars, and due to this motion of the sun's motion of through space. Nearby stars that didn't have high proper motions and candidates of a parallax. The parallax measurements that determine the distance of accurately are identified of the large proper motion. However, a dim star, the sun at great distance, which should have little proper motion, thus eluding detection. So proponents of Nibiru have begun reports at Nemesis, but they have failed of motion of faraway Nemesis, even if it exists, would be hence identical object Nemesis of what is confused with Nibiru. New ninth planets. Over the years, I've been suggesting of individual planets over something like Neptune. Obviously, is of the receipt of the destination of planet X. Arguments that planet X is the center of the receive of the varieties orbits of known objects of the objects of system. For instance, many of the alignments orbits a long period. Some astronomers have claimed to the gravity of the planets orbiting the sun beyond. Far beyond Neptune, consist of trans-Neptunian objects, TNOs, asteroids orbiting the sun beyond Neptune. Because of mass and size, Neptune's gravity of the dominant TNOs, the several TNO orbits are detached, not coming close to Neptune. So astronomers think that an additional distance of planet X can explain the external orbits of to astronomers. Otherwise, clapping a notation of some TNOs, orbits of the probors of massive planet orbiting far from the sun. This account of this clumping. And various times supports Nibiru writes a red press accounts. There's the planet X is clearly of those who do not fail and grasp the nature of these things. One important thing of this to understand as far what hypothetical planet are. If these planet X's were real, it would take centuries for them to travel their current locations into their inner system to wreak havoc on the Earth. Furthermore, no one's suggesting that these planet X's have orbits of being into the inner solar system. Now, conclusion. So, President Nibiru will continue to misidentify related objects, both real and hypothetical, and this supposed rogue planet. Nibiru does not exist. And I urge Christians to be involved in this nonsense. Well, maybe it doesn't. Or maybe this planet 9 is Nibiru. It would take about, and maybe it does not take, 3,600 years to orbit around the sun. Maybe it takes about 20,000 years to orbit around the sun. This gas giant right here that people are calling Planet 9, and maybe this is Nibiru, but I think it's possible. So does Sedna and Nibiru exist? They could exist. I don't know. If you think they don't exist, that's fine. You don't have to believe that, you know. Only time will tell if they exist or not. Only time will tell. You know, it's probably hard to answer this. And does this planet 9, or I guess you can call it Nibiru. But does planet 10 exist? I don't know. This Mars-like planet, I don't know if that exists either. Only time will tell. So, all I can say is only time will tell for these exists. I do believe they do exist, but if you don't believe they exist, you know what, that's fine. You don't have to believe me, on this. All you have to do is just believe what the Bible says. God created everything in 6 literal days, in about 7,000 years ago. Okay, I know he rests on the 7th day, but that's when we got the 7-day week, and it happened about 7,000 years ago. So to make sure how to get saved according to the Bible. Okay, the point of evolution is to damn souls to hell, and also the point of the flat Earth theory is to damn souls to hell as well. Anyway, the golden evidence to believe all Lord Jesus Christ. Salvation is by faith alone and grace of Jesus Christ alone, and once you're always saved by easy beliefs in the truth. Meaning you can't lose your salvation when you say by easy beliefs that salvation is easy. What you do is just believe in Jesus Christ for salvation. Okay, so guys, I'm trying to talk about something here. Okay, so if you want to believe that Sedna and Nibiru exist, you can believe that. If you believe they don't exist, that's fine. You don't have to believe that, because only time will tell. And I'll worry about that. I'll talk about more about the 9 calendar, maybe in a later video. Because I'll talk about next video is it's called what's this about to say about exoplanets and exomoons? Well, I'll talk about that next video. Okay? Yeah, I'll talk about that next video because go right now. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you later. Bye.